It is August 7th, 2023. Yesterday was the 6th. Oh, my Lord. My Lord. Yesterday at Trinity Gospel, I go to walk out. Women follow me out. We all know that one guy in that office, after she called the hotline, before she called him back, he was talking to all of them. Okay? We all know that. The FBI better take care of this. Okay? I hear people off in the distance play some of my tapes of like knowing Mel's kids lied and mean games of pretend. Some lady off in the distance. They got caught stating they were lying. Is that what's going on? It's like you're slow, right? All the cops knew they lied in 18. What part of... My God! I had an FBI agent at my office. And then all these people are going shopping with all of us. They were police and investigators. They caught Melissa telling the kids to lie, friends with the girlfriend Michelle. And them on a Thanksgiving of 18, that they wanted the house for Auntie Shaw and Papa and Grandma needed to get out. And then later on the floor, they were making everything up. They were games to pretend. Did they not understand? And Flora ratted them out to a bunch of adults. They were pretending everything. October 23rd, 2019. They're documenting me games of pretend. That's how the police put it. Okay? And I can go through October 5th, 21 at Huntington Bank. The investigators talking about it. And my client's like, who's that crazy Melissa? They're all talking about lying all the time. It's like the ex-daughter-in-law friends with the ex's girlfriend. Had the kids make up a bunch of mean games of pretend. In front of the police. He's like, she's crazy. I said, I know that. Okay? They have that agent online on a recorded line for obstruction to justice, tampering with evidence, tampering with witnesses, knowledge of somebody being stalked, drugged, beat, and raped, and giggling on a phone with another agent on a recorded line before I'm listed in form. They have him in that embezzlement of $290,000 from the federal government. They have that agent and that other one for being dirty. They basically walked into, the FBI offices like a federal police station. You do realize that. They're just federal cops. They're just federal cops. They went in and told them they were surveillancing me on their own. Are they allowed to do that? No. Hell no. Hell no. Hell no. They're not allowed to stalk people. They're not allowed to have Dave's girlfriend's dad and his drug friends frame me. And those agents were so dirty, dirty cops, dirty federal cops laughing a woman's being stalked, drugged, and framed on a recorded line that they had been in contact with my ex-husband's girlfriend's dad that he hired on his own. Before I'm listed informant, and that I didn't know. Stop, she doesn't know. They thought it was funny. That an innocent woman's being stalked in their home, a cop. Do you realize what a sheriff would have done to him? You can't be in somebody's home. It's a Fourth Amendment. Huh? You can't drug somebody to get the truth out of them and beat them and rape them. Take videos of them in the shower. They obtained and dispensed kiddie porn of my grandkids using the bathroom. He didn't arrest them. He didn't arrest them for nothing. They're laughing about it. Federal officers. Dirty ones. If they weren't dirty, they would have arrested them. There's federal laws. Nobody could be in your home. Yesterday on Middle Branch, people were, as I was driving by, were yelling, "Men, Will and the boys better arrest that church or take care of that church. Thinking they can break in people's homes, stalk them, drug them, beat them, rape them. Will and the boys better take care of them." I took my other client out to Olive Garden. People came and sat behind us. That one guy's going to go to jail for at least obstruction. Oh, honey, a lot more than obstruction. Embezzlement, tampering with witnesses, tampering with evidence. He let a serial killer get away that had already killed here. Part of the human traffickers. Embezzlement of government funds. And then knowledge and accessory to having a woman human trafficked out of her own home. Stalked, drugged, being raped. And when he giggled about it, makes him an accessory. See, that's where, how could you feel sorry for any of these people? That's where one man looked at me in 19. You know better than to feel sorry for no man that puts any of their names on this. You feel sorry for none of them, what happens to them. How could you? And then how could you be sorry for the Vegas? I'm sorry they lost Phil and Tyler. Phil was a nice man and Tyler was a sweetie. Is it my fault Phil didn't stop at that stop sign? No. My whole family and me are at home. Brian had to come talk to me. Did we have anything to do with it? No. Strange lied on everybody. And he made up a lie on me. Okay? And everybody knew he lied over that pulpit on everybody he didn't like. And he was a very low-educated man. He had a high school diploma from the 1950s. He could add, subtract, multiply, and divide. That's all you had to be able to do to get a high school diploma. In the 50s, he only had a minister's license because the building across the parking lot, they called Conqueror's Hall, a couple ministers got together, got 10, 15 men, taught some Bible classes, signed some minister's license in 1950. He never went to college. He had a very low education. He only got that church because he agreed the minister that was there that he pay him so much for like 20 years. He bought the building out from underneath him. That's it. He reigned with fear and lies. He even lied on Ron. Okay? And what's sad is I stood up for Ron. Dave had told me that Strange told everybody he was having an affair with Connie. Ron was. I said, oh, come on now. Ron had never cheated on Lisa. That's ridiculous. Lisa and her are friends. Rodney, her husband at the time, worked for Ron, and their kids play together. They're always over at their house. She's friends with Lisa. And he's friends with him, and he works with him. And their kids play together. They're always talking because they're friends. There's nothing going on, but they're friends. And he kept saying, oh, no, they're cheating. Strange said they're cheating. Well, 2011-12, we're sitting in Blaylock's church. Connie shows up. Ron and Lisa brought her. And Lisa's sitting there, Mary. And I'm talking to Connie, too. Ron's standing right off to the side. And they're all being nice to me as they can be. And they said, Connie's like, they said I was cheating. I never had anybody. Can you imagine? Who would I have cheated with? I looked up at Ron. I thought, oh, if I tell him what Dave told me, he'll kill Dave. She said, I never had anybody. They let him be engaged during the divorce, and they got married 3 days later, and I never had anybody. They lied on me. And she was, talking about different things. And Chris, this one guy, he's a cutie, but he's a player. Okay? He came up and Ron's like, hey, Chris, ask Connie out. He's like, Ron, he's sitting right there. Well, we're all laughing because we all can hear him. And Connie's like, this is awkward. And he's like, Ron, wrong time. He's like, no, perfect time. Ask her out, Chris. Well, we all bust out laughing. He just put him in a really bad predicament. And he's like, this is blown or something like that. Or, you know, we all start laughing because he like blew it. And we're all sitting around laughing and talking. Lisa came up to me when people were making up lies on me at Blaylock's. People come up and said, I heard you're drunk in drugs in the front yard wearing a bikini. I was 200 pounds. Nobody wants to see that in a bikini. Didn't own a bikini. Didn't do drink. And I didn't drink and I didn't do drugs. It's like, where are you getting that? If I'm running around the front yard, I'm chasing a toddler. They told people that I watched porn and was weird. I'm like, ew. For one thing, that's a guy thing. And that's disgusting. And I don't even have cable. I have an antenna. And Stuart Little, too, plays all the time so the babies don't cry. It's a G-rated house. That's disgusting. People, Dave and I talk about the sick lies that people laughed at me for. Okay? Well, Lisa came up to me. I heard Michelle and her gang's after you. I said, you know, it makes no sense. I only talked to her one time in 8 years. Dave was tickling me one time, and his phone started ringing, and I'm like, mine, and I reached for it, and I grabbed it, and I answered it. Dave's cell phone, can I help you? Being silly, because he's tickling me. And it was Michelle Cowgill. And she's like, can I speak to Dave? I said, well, yeah. I said, one moment, and I handed it to him, and he talked to her for a second, and I said, what was that about? He said, oh, she was calling about choir practice. I said, oh, okay. Well, see, that's where I told Lisa that. I said, where would she be after me? She said, for one thing, we would never have her call for choir practice. I said, well, what's she doing calling my husband? She said, I'd like to know that too. See, Lisa was nice to me. Lisa showed up when they showed up in 2011 or 12 at Blaylock's church. She came up with her kids, and she's like, Karen, do you remember my kids? And I said, my gosh, they've got big. She said, just because we don't see each other doesn't mean time doesn't stop, Karen. And I started laughing. I said, I know, but they were so small when I seen them last. See what I mean? That's why when I didn't hang up on Terry's phone call, where I thought I was just getting Dave's girlfriend, because some lady cost me a job and impersonated me. Instead, I got, guess who I was on the phone with? You're kidding. I almost tricked her into coming down to prayer, where those two guys would show up and take care of her. You know, nobody in the church would ever help her. You know, they pay people to know where she's at. I could have used the money. Okay? And I actually told her I'd step in for prayer for her. As if I couldn't believe it came out of my own mouth. And the other lady insults Kaylee for using another minister because Keith charged too much money. Then they said, well, you know who was in that meeting to hire those two men to kill her? It was Keith Bishop, Strange, and Ron. And they took up $25,000 to have her murdered because Ron wants her dead because she got well the year his kid died. And I gasped and I hung up. That's Strange's lie. Lisa was even nice to me. In April or May of 18, I had the grandkids. I was in Fisher's, a grocery store, buying stuff, and she came up and started talking to me like nothing was going on. If I went, I would have never guessed them being part of it. Ever. It was Strange's lie. Strange lied on Dave White that he blasphemed God, tried to kill himself, and all he did is switch churches. He lied on everybody he didn't like. See, Brian, the one that came over and told us that Phil and Tyler got killed in the traffic accident, he had just got where he had to switch churches. Mike Strange's grandson that was from Ann, his real dad had got killed at work, and they inherited a lot of money from the factory. Okay. Well, they were both teenagers at that time, and he was dating a high school cheerleader, Brandy. Brandy comes in a skirt and a shirt, and it's not apostolic style, okay? She's sitting in church, and that minister calls her a whore and makes fun of her outfit over the pulpit. All right? Well, Brian went out with her one night, and being 17, 18, they had sex, okay? Mike found out. Strange over the pulpit. If he ever dares, he told everybody he did it. He said, if he dare shows his face at our church, you are to shun him. You are to look away. No one's to talk to him if he dare shows his face here at this church. He's a little 17, 18-year-old kid. And you are to shun him. Okay, well, I told my kids, you've known Brian since you were small. You are to put your hand out. You tell him he's welcome over our house. We don't treat people that way. Right before he made up the lie on me. Harold Strange's son, Tim, which is my brother-in-law, always cheated on my sister. My sister would follow my mom. We all knew he was cheating with Katie. Katie's a whore. Okay? And, I'd be nice to her face, but I mean, we already knew what her and Tim were doing. Okay? And my sister wouldn't confront him because she didn't want to lose her kids, going to church, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And she wasn't going to confront him. We stayed out of it. But we all knew what they were doing. Well, Linda was following him. She came up to me in one service. I was following him again. I think they thought it was you. I thought as if I'd follow her husband if I care. Well, then Strange made that up. Within a month. He made it up. The faking you're sick, faking you got well while they were grieving. 4 months after I got well. 6 months after those people had got killed in a traffic accident. I told you what happened to Vicky Claire, that her mom had paid for the wedding there, paid for the reception, the food, and just wanted the table set up a different way. The minister got in his face, her mom's face, and yelled at her and said, if my wife said it goes on the table, you eat on the roof, you eat on the roof. This is our church. They took her mother's candy dish, grandmother's candy dish that had passed away, and they brought it for remembrance of Grandma. Sweet gesture to her wedding. They took and stole it and wouldn't give it back. Dave Stewart, college educated, him and Elaine, super sweet people. Super sweet people. He would tell people, you know, our universe is so vast. You know, when we get to heaven, I wonder if we'll be surprised if God created other humans. Because he is so vast and there's so many solar systems. When we get to heaven, wonder what God's got in store to show us what he did. That's not unreasonable. That's giving God the glory that he's great, right? And that anything's possible. And there is lots of solar systems. And Strange, and he told Strange that he had a dream one night, that he was a minister, he had his own church, okay? And he got up on the pulpit, he said, you think you can tell people you believe in little green men? And starts mocking him. You're lucky I let you be a young people's leader and all this, and demeaned him till they didn't come back over the pulpit. See what I mean? His niece Debbie didn't want to go to church there. She shows up before Pam and Jack's wedding. And he calls her a whore from the pulpit until she runs out crying. That's why they went up to Pamers after the wedding. My mom quit going to church there. They had people spike her tires and put sharp objects till she moved to Illinois. And the Illinois authorities said they would have killed her if she wouldn't have left the state. Jim Maurer said that he believed that God wanted him to start a church somewhere else. He went to leave. He said he's going to fail. You wait, he'll come back. That's a nice church. Okay. Let's see, who else did he demean? He demeaned all kinds of people. Ronnie and Joanne Young. She had, her heart got off rhythm, got up to like 200 beats a minute almost. She was dying. They had to shock her heart several times to get it back in rhythm. It chemically imbalanced her brain. She basically got fried. She has to take medication or she vomits, she's dizzy, and she almost passes out. Because her heart was so high for so long. And then with all the shocking, it damaged her brain. He made fun of her from the pulpit. Huh? Other people quit and they vandalized their work vehicles. They played with their cars. John, for another example, my kid John, he had his kids, he's walking around in Walmart. Brandon, the other grandson of Strange, had quit going to that church, and he had a baby with his girlfriend. They see him, they walk up, and the kids are making over the baby. Danielle English comes up. What's going on? He said, remember Brandon, this is his girlfriend, their baby. Innocent as it could be, and went their separate ways. She told everybody she caught him with another woman. He got thrown out of church. I was going down to Blaylock's. Jim Pridgett comes up to me. She said, Karen, I worked with that guy's last name is English. He said, he tells me how drunk and drugs and how crazy you are. I come to church and you're fine. I said, stop listening to him. I haven't seen him in 8 years. Anybody been a victim of lies? Anybody been a victim of mean gossip? Do you hunt somebody down, have them stalked, drugged, and beaten, raped because they're a victim of gossip or mean lies? No. My niece Heather, Nate's wife, she's beautiful. She was really beautiful at 20. She went to one of their parties. Some guy comes down, and 20-year-olds have no filter on their face. None. They're adults with no filters. Some guy comes down and starts yelling at his wife to get her butt up out of that chair. And she's like, don't take that. That's abuse. Being in 20 instead of just staying out of it. That guy's wife went, you just want my husband. She looked at him and went, ew. He's like 40. She told me about it. I was dying laughing. She said, as if I'd want a 40-year-old. That's gross. She said she called me a whore, had all her friends call me a whore, and say I wanted their husband, and walk by me and call me a whore in church until I quit. They were telling people years later, she's a stay-at-home mom, has kids, loves Nate to death. Told everybody, even when she was pregnant, she was out cheating on Nate. Is she going to be on that list? Pam and Jack going to be on that list? They quit church because he demeaned his sister. Huh? I told you, even people told me that they quit that church, and that minister, they went in to tell him that they were quitting that church, and he almost jumped across his desk at him. He's crazy. He's an occult leader. He just lied on everybody, like Dave White. We went to church. Dave White's tried to kill himself. Everybody gasped. He's blasphemed God. His family said they want the respect, and nobody's to call him. They're trying to kill their family because this man's blasphemed God and tried to kill himself. Everybody come up front and pray for him. 30 years later, he walks up to us at John's church. Hi, I'm Dave White. I was like, he said, I told Strange in 1980-something, God laid it on my heart to switch churches. I've been here ever since. He lied over the pulpit again. I told you, his sermons got so crazy, people would complain, would go to leave. He don't even know what he's talking about anymore. He would just sit there and make up stuff on people. 3 men in dress shirts and ties came in and sat down, 3rd row from the front. He sat there and called them names till they left. And he's like, finally, they're gone. Then what are we going to say? Is he going to go after the assistant pastor's wife over at Blaylock's? Tiffany, when she was a teenager, she cheated, or she had an affair with a guy that was African American. They didn't believe in mixed marriages. God separated races for a reason. And it's wrong, and blah, 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 blah. And she ended up going down to Blaylock's. Huh? God separated races to make people beautiful. And God don't care if you love somebody of a different race or nationality. Everybody's the same. We all have Same body parts, same lungs, same heart. It's just pigmentation and eye color and hair color that separates us. See what I mean? He was a racist pig. Is he going to go after that? She's now married to an assistant pastor. Had more children. Her sister was dating a minister's kid from, I think, Cincinnati or Columbus. And when my kids were little, he'd come over after church and play video games, and we'd have pizza and sit around and talk. He told everybody they were having a fornication affair. They were sleeping together. Well, she quit going to that church. It was a lie. If they were doing that, they sure as heck wouldn't hang out with me and my kids and my husband. Duh. Oh, and I told you that thing with Dave Stewart, making fun of Dave Stewart from the pulpit, from where he said about the things being so vast, you know, hard telling what God has in store when we get to heaven, because the universes are so vast. And, you know, you think you can believe in little green men. You're lucky I used you as a young people's leader, and you think you can have your own church. You know, Dave Stewart has his own church, where he said God gave him a dream that one day he'd be a minister of his own church. Yes, his own church. See, Strange was possessed. He was very crazy. And the people that follow him worshipped him like a god. He had a high school diploma from 1950. Never went to college. 1950, you just had to add, subtract, multiply, and divide to graduate. Had a very low IQ. And he only had that building because he agreed to pay that guy for like 15, 20 years a certain amount of money and bought the building out from underneath him. And he only had a license because he went to a couple of those classes those ministers were preaching. Across the thing, and you just paid for the ministers' classes. And wasn't even in college. He had no college education. He didn't even believe in people going to college besides the Bible institution. And he would preach against it for a long time before the guys started becoming electricians, and then he got their big tithes money. I'm telling you, the guy controlled with fears, lies. I mean, I can start going through other people. I mean, there's like list and list. Mary Beth. She left Jimmy because he moved home. He was watching porn on the internet. And she's like, I ain't putting up with this. He's living with his mom. He's addicted to porn. I'm done. He won't even live with me. Because I told him off for looking it up. So she divorced him. They threatened to kill her. At her home in the office. They were going to get her. She's too afraid to leave. Dee, her kid went and dated one of their daughters. So they vandalized her property 3 different times. They're going to get Heather. They're going to get my son Danny. He don't go to church there. Going to get my son Josh again. Because they've already tried to harm his family several times. Told you. Mel and John were fighting and they rolled his truck and put him in the driveway. I'm not the only victim. There's countless of victims that went into other churches or just quit church altogether because they're so violent and evil. And how could you feel sorry for people that are saying they're having somebody stalked in their own home and don't even have anything to do with them? Had nothing to do with Lighthouse Tabernacle for 15 years. What the hell are they doing on me now? Went to New Life in 6. We went there a handful of times for like funerals, a couple special services. And when we did see Ron and Lisa, they shook our hands. That's why if I wouldn't have overheard Terry talking to that lady, I wouldn't even believe they were involved because it was Strange's lie. He made it up. And he lied on everybody. I'm going to upload this.